Not for sale.
Our resources.
Not for sale.
Our resources.
Not for sale.
Our resources.
Not for sale.
But what you might not know is that it's bad enough that we have to pay off the gambling debts of bankers and financiers and speculators. But guess who will end up owning our forests if they're sold? The bankers, the financiers and the speculators. I jest not. The Coillte have already sold over recent years 40,000 acres of public forestry. The biggest purchaser of that land is the Irish Forest Unit Trust, whose major components include the Bank of Ireland, the Allied Irish Bank and Irish Life. Three of the institutions that have helped bankrupt this state and which we have bailed out.
We have 12,000 people working in Coillte, and 11% of our land is forestised. We want to see a situation where Coillte can play a role in actually increasing our jobs, protecting our forestry, protecting our diversity, and as a public enterprise, a public ownership plan to actually create jobs over the next period of time. In Switzerland, 100,000 people are involved in working in the forestry industry there. We want the same thing to happen here.
We absolutely need our forests. They're the carbon sink. We're already going to have difficulty meeting EU and international targets, and without that side of the equation we're going to run into serious problems. We've already postponed into the future a huge debt that is not our debt onto the shoulders of our children and our grandchildren. We're now going to put another burden in terms of environmental costs unless we keep control and we actually develop a decent forestry policy. You know, and as far as I'm concerned, that this is just a strategic asset that absolutely has to be retained. It's our asset. It's not theirs to sell. And it just simply doesn't make economic or environmental sense.
There's been a lot of lobbying by Coillte to remove the reforestation legislation part of the new Forestry Act. That would mean a company who bought the harvesting rights when they've cleared the trees would not have to reforest on the site. They could therefore start mining on the site. That's possibly linked to the fracking issue and other issues. One other thing people are not aware of is that conifer trees' roots are acidic and they loosen up and they're designed to break through rock. They're an ancient tree species. So land that has had conifers on for a long time becomes softened up, ready for mining.
Another one of the big likely purchasers for the harvesting rights is a Swiss bank that manages the wealth of the world's billionaires. They're a gang called Helvetica Wealth. They have a subsidiary called the International Forestry Fund, which interestingly has a little office in Dunleary. And guess who is the chairperson of the International Forestry Fund? Bertie Ahern. You couldn't make it up.
From each tree, when the leaves are still green in December, it's then that our land will be free. I've wandered her hills and her valleys, and still to my sorrow I see a land that has never known freedom, and still only her rivers run free. I drink to the dead of her manhood, those men who would rather have died than to live in the cold chains of bondage, to bring back their rights were denied. So where are you now when we need you? What burns where the flame used to be? Are you gone like the snows of last winter, and still only her rivers run free? Thank you.